I hope the light bulb is going off more and more. I think the groups are starting to realize that data is critical. And it's not just our industry, it's every industry.
What is bad data?
Oh, what is bad data? It's a great question. So bad data in any system is incorrect information, right? So if we look in automotive, that could be in the CRM, it could be in the DMS, or it could be in another system where there's just incorrect information. So it could be a bad name, misspelling of a name, incomplete name. It could be a mistyped phone number, missing a digit, or no phone number. It could be an email address that says .con instead of .com, or has a comma instead of a period. It could be a missing home address, or incomplete address, or it's just the wrong address. And it could be the same around a vehicle, where the customer no longer owns that vehicle, yet inside the dealer's data, the dealer is still reflected as, oh, Todd owns that Tahoe, yet Todd crashed it 6 months ago and already has a replacement of vehicle, but I keep sending him messages to bring his Tahoe into the dealership. So bad data could be any of these, and even more fields inside the dealer system that were incorrectly entered, marked, changed, or never there to begin with.
I feel like only now in the general media in automotive, you're starting to see a lot of people speaking about bad data. I think with the rise of CDPs and with the rise of all the additional sort of SaaS that's happening in our world, a lot of people are taking a step back and asking the question, yes, but is the data sound? And if it's not sound, from what I'm understanding from all the brilliant people I have the awesome opportunity to speak to, is that you're building things on a weak foundation, or you're sort of putting a Band-Aid on a colander and hoping that the water will not spew out all the other holes.
Absolutely. So let's break it into actual facts for you. So if in a typical DMS that hasn't been looked at in a year, 30 to 40% of the emails will be bad or missing. So email decay rate is 2.5% a month on average, just in general. It's because emails change or people have multiple email addresses. When you look at phone numbers, 20 to 25% are invalid in a DMS and CRM. We see it all the time. So think about that. That's 1 in 4 people or 1 in 5 people. You go to pick up the phone, you get dead air, wrong number, or there was no phone number there to begin with. And now this is where it gets a little bit more interesting. Even home addresses, 15 to 20% are bad. And this could be because and again, these are things you learn through time, but it was super fascinating. Believe it or not, 10 to 12% of Americans move a year. You don't realize how transient things are. And if your dealership is close to college town or apartments and has high, what I call density population that's more transient, your turnover is going to be even more. So all this gets reflected back into data, as well as vehicle ownership. We find between 25 and 35, 40% of people don't even own the car any longer that was originally put in their dealership DMS. So because of that, we have found that, and as you say, you need to build a strong foundation, you need strong building blocks. And to us, the data is those building blocks. So by getting the data right, you set yourself up for success in many avenues. It could be marketing success, because now your marketing is more efficient, it's effective, and it's targeting the right people. So you're eliminating waste on spend, because you're not targeting bad people, bad addresses, bad information. And on the other side, if you have an ambition to leverage AI in the future, AI has to have clean and organized data. That is the #1 thing to make AI work, because AI, just like, let's say, any system, is good data in, good output out. Bad data in, bad outputs out. So for AI to structurally work, you need a few things. You need good quality data. that's organized in a way, it's vectored or it's on a graph that it's easy for the AI to absorb. And you also need longevity of data. So the longer you have of that data trail, then the AI can spot patterns in that data through your behavior. Like, wow, Simone comes in, even though her car says she needs to come in every 4 months, she comes in every 5 to 6 months because her driving patterns are different. AI will spot that, help target better so the right message lands at the right time, not at the 3-month or 4-month when the OEM factory message says it should land.
I'd love to understand, when we talk about bad data, how bad is bad data? Can you give me a worst case scenario for a dealership who's perhaps feeling pressure right now with everything that's happening globally and in terms of the tariffs, as an example, and there is a societal sort of push towards adopting AI. So they go out and they hear at a conference that this AI product's good, and so they run with it.
Yes.
What is the worst case situation?
I'm going to bring this right back to your story. So it was actually Jamie Dimon who came out, who is the CEO of JP Morgan. And Jamie Dimon actually stated, I just wrote an article about this because what he stated is it is definitely sounding the alarms. And his CTO also chimed in to the same article. And it basically says, we are opening ourselves up with AI to an enormous amount of risk because nobody has put any security around these things. So we're just using these applications and we're not securing the data that rests in it. And data is the real capital of our future. And so he goes on and talks really deeply about security and having what's called a red team to analyze any of the AI tools you're using, because these tools are just getting patched together really fast and nobody's thinking about the security layer. So if you build one of these systems, an AI tool, and there's an API, someone could hack the API and get access to the underlying data. This could be detrimental, especially to finance companies, auto dealers, who all have what's called PII, personally identifiable information. So this was like a call to the siren to the industry to say, hey, AI is great, and we know it's going to change everything, but we should slow down a little bit and ensure we have the security in place to protect the data because it is the most valuable asset. So that was the very interesting side of that story. And I wrote a 2-part article. It will be coming out. But back to your question on the data in general for dealerships and the importance of data. And what I think most are missing, because they don't see it, they'll, let's say, times are getting tougher and now I need to do more marketing because of, let's say, tariffs are here, or I'm getting squeezed on inventory. I need to sell more cars. So what do? I go to my CRM and I say, okay, let's create an email campaign and blast it out to all the people in our CRM. Okay, so let's just say you have 100,000 people in your CRM. And let's just say you really never clean that data. So at any point, probably about 50 to 60% of that emails will not get delivered instantly. So they're just bad, right? And what happens with email, the second it starts bouncing and hits a threshold, the email providers, the Googles, Yahoo, Outlooks, they'll throttle you and do what's called quiet delivery, meaning it's delivered, but the consumer never sees the message, but it showed as delivered. And you see this a lot. And when you actually do, let's say that 100,000 mailer, maybe, and I'm going to say maybe 15%. So 15,000 people would probably get your email. Right now, think about this. Those 15,000. Well, if we knew that 30% or 35% of them aren't even driving that car, now your message just fell on the wrong person, right? And like you start, data is kind of a compounding thing. So it starts with one little piece of bad data and you add more and more bad data, you get so far off from the intended target and message that it's so highly inefficient at that point. And I don't think many people realize this. They'll just say, oh, I sent 100,000 and man, why did we only get 32 people respond out of 100,000? That seems crazy. It doesn't, because most of it was all bad to begin with. So, but when you clean up data, you can get those 40, 50+% open rates and high click-through rates that are industry leading if you start with good data.
I don't want to be dramatic, but like based on the numbers you're sharing with me, this really sounds like a poison. So for example, as a marketer, I step up to the plate. I convince everybody we need to spend more on marketing. So I take a couple of dollars from the budget I allocated. We send out these emails. Now, not only are we not reaching the end customer, but also the data that we're receiving back is incorrect because we think, oh, we're not getting a good open rate, where in actual fact, it's a much worse situation. So it almost affects the dealership on a strategic level as well, because now maybe I go back and I say, look, it's not good. No one's buying right now. No one's interested in buying. And it could affect the strategic perspective or the decision that the dealership takes based on incorrect information. And so it really is this horrible situation where everything slowly falls apart and the wheels come off and then the body disintegrates. I can just sort of imagine almost like a really dark cartoon. And everyone is left wondering what went wrong. And what went wrong was at the very, very beginning of the process, the data.
Exactly. Because look, what is going to get blamed? The knee-jerk reaction is, well, that was a bad campaign. It was a bad message. Nobody's going to say it was bad data. Nobody gets to that conclusion first. No one says, the underlying data was probably bad. Nobody gets there. They go, oh, it was bad creative, wrong thing, blame the agency screwed up, get a new agency. And it's crazy because it is all in the data. The data tells the story. And I love to bring props to our conversation. And so here is a good prop. So I got this in the mail a couple weeks ago, and it's from it's from a BMW store in Naples, Florida. This store is 4 hours from my house. 4. I could pass 10 BMW stores to get to this one. Okay. 2, I've never owned a BMW in my life. 3, my name is not Maurice or something. You can actually see it bigger. It says score big here, Maurice. This is not my name. It came to my house. This is not me. So what did this organization waste? This is first class postage on a 4x4 full color. What did this cost? $1.10? And you might as well just throw it away. So how many people got these that are mismatched? Because I'm not even in the market for a BMW, and I never have been. It's not just our industry. It's every industry. These industries are all talking about, data is the most valuable asset on the planet. It's worth more than fiat currency. It's worth more than everything. Because if you look at the largest companies, their value is seated in the amount of data they control. So you look at the Facebooks, Googles, Amazons of the world, their value, a huge chunk of their value is exactly in the amount of data and customer information they possess.